Attention, brothers and sisters in faith, defenders of Christian morality. In the wake of the Vatican's troubling silence and the blatant disrespect displayed during the opening ceremony of the 2024 Paris Olympics, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano has issued a powerful and urgent statement. He vehemently condemns the sacrileges and scandals that threaten the most sacred values of Christianity. We cannot remain silent while the anti-Christian elite challenges everything we hold sacred. Archbishop Vigano's letter not only exposes the horrors of this event, but also calls on all Christians to resist and take concrete actions against these destructive forces. The opening ceremony of the 2024 Paris Olympics is just the latest chapter in a series of events that have publicly challenged Christian values and natural morality. This phenomenon of using major cultural events to promote messages that contradict the teachings of the Catholic Church is not new. For instance, during the 2012 London Olympics, we witnessed performances celebrating controversial aspects of modernity, diverging from traditional principles. Similarly, the opening of the Gotthard Tunnel in Switzerland in 2016 shocked many with its symbolism, featuring infernal figures and pagan-inspired rituals, leaving a disturbing impression on viewers worldwide. Likewise, the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham displayed a series of visual and thematic elements that seemed to deliberately challenge Christian values, using grotesque figures and provocative symbolism. This pattern of behavior by the organizers and sponsors of these events is not merely coincidental. There is a broader agenda at play, where symbols and messages are used to shape public perception and influence culture in ways contrary to church teachings. As Archbishop Vigano mentioned, the anti-Christian elite uses these global platforms to promote a worldview that seeks to destabilize the foundations of faith and morality, requiring Christians to either silently accept or even passively comply with the desecration of the most sacred symbols. This use of spectacles to convey subversive messages is a powerful strategy, capable of influencing millions of people worldwide, often without them realizing the true purpose behind these productions. The opening ceremony of the 2024 Paris Olympics was a visual spectacle that, under the guise of cultural celebration, introduced deeply disturbing elements for many Christians and moral defenders. Among the images displayed was a grotesque parody of the Last Supper, featuring LGBTQ+ figures in a clear provocation against traditional values. Additionally, the depiction of a beheaded Marie Antoinette singing the revolutionary anthem Ça Ira evoked memories of a period of anti-clerical violence and religious persecution during the French Revolution, when many religious figures were persecuted and killed. This act was not just an artistic choice, but an explicit commentary on the subversive power of revolution against traditional structures, including religion. The ceremony also featured bearded drag queens and effeminate dancers, which many interpreted as a deliberate attempt to distort and subvert the concepts of masculinity and femininity established by Christian tradition. The figure of Dionysus, portrayed as a blue, rotund entity, served as a caricature of hedonism and indulgence, sharply contrasting with the discipline and asceticism often associated with Christian life. This spectacle was described by many as a true dystopian dance, where elements of horror and blasphemy mingled, creating a narrative that seemed to mock faith and religious values. The intention behind such artistic choices appears clear: to challenge and destabilize the moral and religious order, presenting a worldview where traditional values are replaced by an ideology of relativism and permissiveness. Archbishop Vigano's criticism was not limited to the event's organizers, but extended to world leaders who support or promote this cultural subversion. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is cited as a key supporter of this agenda, with his presence and sponsorship of the event being seen as an endorsement of the content presented. Macron, along with other global leaders, is accused of promoting a globalist ideology that seeks to undermine the foundations of Christian civilization. His wife, controversially described as a transvestite, is used to symbolize what many see as the deceit and hypocrisy of the ruling elite, who present themselves one way while operating in another, concealing their true intentions. Modern culture, in the Archbishop's view, is being manipulated to distort truth and confuse values, promoting a moral relativism that places good and evil on the same level. This inversion of values is seen as a direct attack on the image and likeness of God in man, an attempt to disfigure divine creation. The critique also targets other prominent figures, such as former U.S. President Barack Obama, mentioned as an example of how Western leaders are involved in a broader campaign of social transformation that goes against Christian teachings. This campaign is described as the kingdom of mystification, where truth is suppressed and falsehood is raised as a new moral standard. In response to these attacks, Archbishop Vigano calls on Christians to take concrete and organized action. He proposes boycotting the Olympics and all its sponsors, a measure aimed not only at withdrawing financial support, but also at sending a clear message of disapproval. Companies that still respect traditional values are encouraged to terminate their sponsorship contracts, and delegations and athletes are called to withdraw from the Games as an act of resistance against what is seen as a festival of blasphemies and profanations. This action is not just a reaction to visual offenses, but a demand for accountability and consequences for those perpetuating this cycle of moral corruption and decay. The Archbishop also urges the faithful to engage in spiritual practices of reparation, such as prayer, fasting, and penance. These practices are seen as a way to counter the outrages committed against Christ and the Church, a call for purification and spiritual renewal. He emphasizes that Christian patience and tolerance should not be mistaken for passivity or acceptance. This is a moment to awaken and act, especially when civil and religious authorities seem complicit or powerless in the face of the offensive against the faith. The final appeal is for everyone to recognize the gravity of the situation and unite in defense of the values that uphold Christian civilization. Now is the time to act, to stand up and defend what is sacred. We cannot allow an anti-Christian elite to continue subverting our values and profaning what is most sacred. We all must do our part as a community of faith. Start by boycotting the Olympics and their sponsors, and encourage others to do the same. If you are a business owner, consider withdrawing your support for events that promote values contrary to our faith. Above all, intensify your practices of prayer, fasting, and penance, seeking reparation for the outrages committed against Christ and our religion. Let us remember the words of Scripture. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. 2 Chronicles 7:14. This passage calls us to action and faith, reminding us that true change begins with each of us. And you? What are you willing to do to protect and preserve your faith? Are you ready to take a stand? Share your thoughts and commitments in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to continue following this crucial topic for our society. Together, we can be the force that resists and defends what is truly important.